George, thanks for waiting. You there?
I'm Christian. I want to do a shout-out to other Christians to call in and correct the mistakes on the show, because I think there's way too many atheists on the show. That's the first thing I want to say.
It's an atheist show.
Yeah,
but
how can you have too many atheists on an atheist show?
You're doing this in Texas, and I think there's a lot more Christians who should be calling in and defending
We agree.
the Holy Book, you know.
We absolutely agree. So please encourage all of your Christian friends to call the show.
Yeah, we've got nothing to be afraid of. Anyway, I have two things I wanted to say. First thing is, I have a proof of God. Second thing, I have a proof that the Bible is true. My proof. I'll start with my proof that the Bible is true. The proof of the Bible is true is there's actually a prophecy in the Bible, and it actually predicted the crucifixion of Jesus. It's Psalm 22:1, Psalm 22:11 to 18, and John 19:23 to 24. That's the best prophecy in the whole Bible. And what do you have to say about that?
Have you talked to Jews about this?
Yeah.
Because they're not convinced, and we're talking about their ancient book and their prophecies about a Messiah, and yet they don't accept this. They seem to have a different list of things that they consider prophetic than what Christians do, and they don't seem to think that Jesus fulfilled the prophecy and is the Messiah.
I'm talking about the prophecy that that Jesus would be crucified. It said that in the verses that I told you about.
Sure. So if I go and look up Psalms, what was it right away?
It was Psalm 22:1, Psalm 22:11 to 18, and John 19:23, 24. That's the best prophecy in the whole Bible.
Sure. So Psalm 22:1 starts with, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? That?
Right.
And then what verses after that in 22?
22:11 to 18.
11 through 18?
Yeah.
It says, do not be far from me, and trouble is near, and there is no one to help. My many bulls surround me, strong bulls of Bashan encircle me, roaring lions that tear their prey open, their mouths wide against me. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is turned to wax, it is melted within me. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death, dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes amongst them and cast lots for my garment.
You got it. What does that sound like to you? That sounds like the crucifixion.
Sure, there are elements of that sound a little bit like the account of the crucifixion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me ask you something.
It's not a prophecy.
Yeah.
What do you mean? That's like details of the crucifixion that happened like way after that was even written.
No. A prophecy is a foretelling of something. It has to explicitly be, this is something that's going to happen in the future, and it will be fulfilled by a specific event that can't be duplicated.
Well, what did you think that sounded like to you?
It sounded like someone that wrote the New Testament knew about that psalm and wrote in the New Testament something that would make that appear to come true.
Look, if you read John 19:23, 24, you're going to see the exact same thing that happened many years after that was written.
Exactly.
Sure.
And the author of John knew about that psalm.
Do you think they didn't know about these verses? We already know that the author who wrote the book that carries the name Matthew specifically went back through the Old Testament looking for any type of prophecy that he might be able to fulfill, which is why Matthew is such a padded book that differs a lot from the other canonical Gospels. But in order for a prophecy to be anything that carries any weight, it needs to be specific. It needs to be fulfillable by only a single event. It can't be something that's public, that people are actively trying to fulfill. For example, if I tell the waiter that I want a medium rare steak, and he brings me that steak, is he fulfilling prophecy? No. And if somebody is saying, it also can't be something mundane. So what's happened here is we have a psalm written ages before about somebody lamenting and bemoaning their sorrow and their troubles, and we have similar things that are written into the account of the crucifixion. They're not identical. but they're similar.
To the one in John, he says, when the soldiers crucified Jesus, they took his clothes, dividing them into 4 shares. That's exactly like the psalm. It says,
I understand that.
They divide my garments among them.
Sure, I understand that.
It's exactly the same.
I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, why do you think that this is actually a prophecy, first of all, when it's not considered part of the Messianic prophecy by Jews? And why do you consider it prophetic fulfillment when the author who's giving you the account of what happened has clearly made this appear to be similar to this passage?
Do you think it was all backwards, that he wrote it on purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all planned to do Jesus just like it said they would.
Sure, I think that's very likely. I also think that there's a number of other things that are potentially likely, including coincidence. But my big thing is I can't confirm any of this happened in the first place. You're citing a story in an old book, and by the way, a story that's told a number of different ways depending on which gospel you actually read. But you're citing a story that I can't confirm. And even if it were true, even if this were a clear prophecy that clearly was fulfilled, it doesn't tell us anything at all about the source of this prophecy. I mean, the fact that somebody could make a prediction and it comes true is neat. But once you have determined, for example, that prediction X has been made and it has come true, how do you then determine why it came true? Did it come true by happenstance? Was it coincidence? Was it somebody actively working to do it? Was this somebody actually manipulating the facts in their account to match up with something? Or is there no known explanation? And if there's no known explanation, that doesn't mean you get to say that the reason that it's proof of God. Because it could be that there is no God, but this writer in Psalm was some kind of futuristic psychic who was able to see pictures of the future, but that doesn't tell you that the source of his pictures in his head were God.
Well, what do you think it was? Alien came and told him?
I don't think it was a prediction, and I don't think it required any kind of foresight.
All right, well, I won't take too much of your time.
Are you sure you're not Mark from Stone Church and Thomas and all the other names that you've used?
Are you sure you won't talk about Chris Langan because you're too scared?
Oh, you are. I finally busted your faking ass.
You're too scared to talk about it.
Are you
Really?
Chris Langan yourself? Because that'd be really cool. You know you're a tool, right? Thanks.
Yeah, he hung up.
Thanks for wasting our time. I'm sure the chat room was probably going nuts saying, when's he going to call him out? When's he going to call him out?
Yeah, we're too scared, but he hangs up.
Yeah.
So,
You're too scared to talk to me, click.
Yeah.
Go away, prophecy boy.